recording right now. I got to do a slate in a moment.
Okay. Where do I... Oh, it's a...
Lavalier.
Jeez, dude, you're professional.
Trying. They're actually, it's really amazing sound quality. They kind of use these for sometimes remotes on.
I've done it with acting.
Yeah.
There you go. Put on
But I mean, even
hosting is usually what they do.
But these are like the actual recorders. I think usually on set they're transistor or whatever.
They are with.
When my buddy, who's a sound guy, let me borrow his, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. I can go anywhere.
And then do it like that so that it's up in there. Is that what you mean? Up in there like that?
Good.
Yeah?
I think so.
Okay. You tell me if it sounds like scrickle scrackle.
I'm not going to listen. It's fine.
Bernie! Hi, Barnes. He's such a good boy.
We do our hikes almost every day, and it's been like 3 or 4 days since we've done this. Right, bud?
Oh,
right, buddy?
So ready to go.
Yeah, let me get the slate going, which is my little fork. And I have a little knife here, and I just go... Oh, oh, man. Mark? Great. Awesome. So, back to Jung. I don't do any edit. Like, this is the lowest produced show in existence.
Next to the one I think I do.
Yeah, seriously.
I have no microphone, so
you just do it on your
on the computer.
Laptop mic?
Yeah. Well, my mic broke recently. I had a USB in it. A big fatty in it broke.
You gotta tell Amazon to send you another one.
Amazon, he can kiss my ass.
No, I know. This is the problem. It's like all the good stuff is there, and like, I gotta find it somewhere else.
I know, it sucks. Wow.
Yeah, look at this.
An actual mountain that's not attached to some chick putting on her fucking makeup.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Not used to a trail where there's no influencer blocking the way.
And it smells amazing. It smells like real deep forest. Yeah, the Jungian archetype I was given was the pueri turnus, the eternal child. And there was a lady, wish I could remember her name. I think she wrote the book, The Drama of the Gifted Child, and then she had a couple other
which my
books.
mom hated that I was going to read. My mother was so against me going to therapy. She said, why? So you can discover everything about your narcissistic mother?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
at least you
kinda.
found a certain honesty there.
Yeah, kind of.
How's it going?
Hey. Yeah, kind of. Hey.
I don't have
Barney.
my mask up.
Uh-oh. Get out of
everybody
here.
their space.
Barney. Whee! Look at this. This is so real.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the whole place here.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it's so real.
There's so many layers of trickery and fakeness and narcissism in LA. It's such a snaky
It's
town.
what it's built on.
Yeah.
Well, it's built on an idea of beauty. And it was all Jewish, my people, they left New York and they said, I don't ever want to see my mother again. And they made everyone blonde and blue-eyed.
That's hilarious. So it's so funny because I'll pitch you on this idea. I want to do a podcast about religious trauma because I think it's not something that's really discussed. And have guests, because like I had...
It's a great idea.
Do you know Natalie Palmides?
No.
She's like a clown performer, I know. She's the new face of the progressive. She's the girl that's not Flo on the ads.
Okay.
And she was a powder puff girl, but I know her through clowning. But she talked about being obsessed with Santa Claus when she was growing up. And if that is not some kind of religious trauma, I don't know what is.
Obsessed with him, like sexually?
No, more like she was still believing in Santa Claus way, way, way late because she was kind of forcing it. And she really had a lot of magical thinking about him. I thought she saw him one Christmas and stuff like that. And so it amazes me. It's like, kind of where's our imagination in relation to these spectacular things that that we can access, right? Versus like the imprinting of these bad ideas. Because I think ultimately Santa Claus is but he's been so infused with capitalism and corporate agendas. It's like the symbol of Santa Claus has become something different than it originally was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what it originally was a frightening tale of a man who came to steal the children who were bad.
Oh yeah, that's right. And so the essence of the evil is still in there.
Yeah. And I have a few black family friends who say they don't enjoy teaching their kids about a white man who's going to bring them presents if they're good.
Yeah, right.
They find it very, very warped
and propagandistic.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I think also the other aspect of the propaganda with Santa Claus is that somehow he's watching you. Yes. And I just hate that idea. I was, especially I started obsessing on the idea of God watching me.
Right
around the time when I was learning how to masturbate.
Well, that's the right time.
And I was, eventually I've turned it into a kink. It's like, I want God to watch me jerk off. The other thing I started thinking about, and I don't know if there's a joke in here, but it's like, God fucking loves watching little kids jerk off. That's his favorite thing. He's into that.
He's into all of it.
Yeah.
He's
a real freak.
He's definitely a freak. He definitely likes all the wild.
Is
it he? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, in this sense, he is.
Them?
But I'm saying this aspect of God is masculine and creepy.
And he's mean and he's punishing.
Yeah, he's making you feel guilty for jerking off, but he's fucking getting off on it.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of the ideal.
Now, if I could just get paid.
Exactly. He's like, I don't even need money.
No, isn't it? Oh, this fucking...
Look at all that snow.
Yeah.
I'm in shorts. This is wild.
It's lovely. It's perfect.
So perfect.
It is just like...
God, I can't believe
we have found a fantastic little piece of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to stop at Phoenix, and I have my friend Aubrey, who's an artist, just moved out there. So
nice.
But yeah, you're gonna. I do a bunch of these, and I only usually release one on the Libsyn feed. So this will be yours. Yours will definitely be a Libsyn worthy one. Okay. Yay.
Libsyn worthy.
How's it going?
Hey.
Yeah, this is the thing. I've been hiking since the beginning of the shelter in place.
Yeah.
And I'm just just my habit.
You got to let people pass. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, Jung.
Yeah, Jung.
So what is your archetype? What are you working on?
Well,
what are you learning about yourself?
The funny thing is, I haven't really been given anything. It's way more. It's way more of her, asking one or two questions within the session, and then me kind of falling back and going, "Oh fuck, right." She said something to me recently regarding my anxiety, and she said, "Have you ever tried to live in the moments and in the space that's unfamiliar. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, what's unfamiliar is to feel good, feel deserving, feel calm, feel at peace. So what's it like to live there? Like, experiment. What happens when you go there? Oh.
Yeah.
Very heavy, but very simple.
Yeah. Because I think that's the thing, those of us that have had trauma is afraid of, because any moment, whatever, I felt things are okay, the other shoe would drop or something would happen.
Right.
And so, you know what? So my PTSD was just always this anticipating bad things were going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Or not. I actually talked about this last night with someone. Not even having those moments.
Just you're relentlessly in the trauma.
Yes. Because you're constantly surviving.
Yeah.
So when the child learns how to just survive at all times, and it's always on survival mode, when the grown-up starts to take over, the child doesn't trust it, and doesn't trust that there's safety now, that there's calm now, that there's peace now, that we can sit and be quiet and nothing bad will happen to us, that no one's coming to get us.
Yeah.
So I talk to people a lot about this, because I have to talk to myself out loud and say, Jessica, it's okay, I got it. I got you.
Yeah. But that's part of your self-soothing regime.
Yeah. Instead of going to take, a drink or smoke or whatever, or eat or fuck someone I don't like. Those are all my addictions. Boy, do I love to fuck someone I don't like. I'm just going to say
this. It's so intense to fuck somebody you like.
I wish I knew what that felt like.
Well, no, but I'm also saying, like, somebody you care about and you care about their well-being, and it's like you're present with that, and again, like, present in those emotions of caring about this person and touching them, and it's like, love's too much for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle that, dude. I walk around my new apartment like Eddie Murphy from Trading Places when they bring him to the new house. Yeah. They're like, no, this is yours. I'm like, sure, And they're like, no, you don't have to steal it. It's yours now. And I'm like, right. No certainty of things not falling apart. Or being more, here's the thing, Sean.
Yeah.
Being more comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's just a drag, man.
It's tough, but I went and did this meditation retreat at the beginning of the year. I finished my recovery right at the tail end of the 6 weeks. The Vipassana retreat center said, hey, come on out. People are counseling. You can have a spot. And I was like, yeah, this is perfect. Left Barney behind, went and had a 10-day silent meditation retreat.
Wow.
It was painful on the silent and the not touching people, but the reset it did to my brain and being comfortable in the discomfort, just the discomfort of my body, the discomfort of my thoughts.
Yeah.
It really did prepare me for this fucking bullshit we're going through right now. It's fucking crazy.
That makes sense. No, it makes sense, because when we first got put on this, I was with a boy. He lasted about 4 weeks before he completely imploded.
Yeah.
And I had to ask him to leave.
Yeah.
Anyone who can't sit quietly and have their stuff come. I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard.
Well, it's very hard for those of us that have depth and have some things that we've had taken away from us that we care about. Like, it's like, I think it is very tough. I think it's easy for fucking empty-headed bimbos to do it, because they don't their minds are empty. So it's like, I got nothing to worry about. But those of us that give a shit,
Yeah.
That sounds like he gave a shit a little bit.
Well, yeah, but also I think, like you said before, when you come from so much trauma, and you either think you have a choice or you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that the man I was dealing with did not think he had a choice.
Yeah.
So he imploded. And I knew I had a choice. I knew this was going to be a real intense kind of situation. And he used to fuck with me and say, well, what do you want to do? Just fucking sit in your house?
Sure.
And I go, yeah, if I'm listening to a nice podcast or the sun is out or I can eat a good little meal by myself, I would love that.
Yeah.
And instead of running about and trying to get these feelings to go away.
Yeah. It's God, you mentioned something in there, being at peace with yourself. Oh man, I was like, I had this thought the other day that I'm just saying these words to see if it'll prompt this thing I forgot, but I can't remember. Which again, it doesn't matter. That's the other thing is, like, I think the world is starting to learn that most of the stuff that we fill up our lives with doesn't really matter.
Yep.
You know, and I think I think especially Americans, we have a cultural trauma from being run around by corporations and capitalism and the elites that we have all this fucking kind of like cultural PTSD about, like, oh, what do I do with myself?
Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea how to keep just a calm, like what was interesting for me, this is just, I can't go without a beautiful shot. The thing that really tripped me out about my feed over the last few days in terms of social media was that I follow a few Native guys, and they were talking about how the real politics are in how we treat nature.
Yes, absolutely,
and then
100%.
That's the only thing that matters.
So I got two things I want to say on that. The first thing is, do you know about the Wendigo?
The who?
Wendigo?
No.
So it's
Is this a tribe?
No, well, I think it's Algonquin, but it's this spirit demon that they identified in white people when we first got here. It's basically a self-cannibalizing demon that they saw us like this rapacious need to acquire. Yeah. They're like, oh, they're possessed by Wendigo. Either they will consume themselves or it will leave their bodies. Little did they know that we have quite a taste for being demonically possessed.
Oh yeah, we love it.
Yeah,
and then we can call in some gods and do all kinds of that shit.
So I think that Jesus. If we don't,
I stopped again.
Yeah. I think that I have this fantasy that kind of once we get through, and it may mean another 4 years of American trauma. I don't know. Because I don't think it's going to be necessarily solved, even if Biden gets...
I don't think so either.
But if we were to take the effort of fighting, of remediating the planet, fighting it the way we fought the Nazis in World War II, then I think we'd have a chance of turning it around. If we put all of our resources and energy into remediation and figuring out what that means and how it works and... my other part of the fantasy is that Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes the spokesperson for it, because he's got such international appeal. You know, he could be the guy. That
means we have to renounce all of our
material
stuff.
Well,
we love stuff.
I think at a certain point it'll just be so taxed or so or made so hard and unavailable, like single-use plastics. How hard is that going to be to stop us from doing that?
Yeah, it's
going to be fucking. Because I ordered something yesterday that had some single-use plastics in it, and I'm very aware of it. It's going to be hard, but I think whatever we've. Well, I wanted to say we stopped Nazism, but I guess we didn't.
Not really. They're still here. It's so sad.
We at least stopped German Nazis.
Well. We can just start only shopping at Goodwill.
Yes.
A friend of mine just got very angry with me that I told him I bought a pot. He's like, a new pot?
I mean, if it's an item that you're going to get a lot of use out of.
Yeah, but he goes, you could have gone to the thrift shop and gotten a pot. We don't need any more pots in the fucking world. And I'm like, they already made the pot, okay?
I mean, he does have a point. But I will also say, this is the other thing, is like, high quality, highly usable. There's a lot less of that in our out there. But if you can find that and invest in that and give that company your money,
yeah, and hopefully it's a smaller company. I mean, my friend just ordered me a Magic blanket, which is a weighted blanket.
Oh fuck yeah!
But he knows the man at Magic. What is that?
Is that the wind?
Is
just
that the
rushing
wind?
through the trees? Holy shit!
It sounds like rapids.
It did for a second, right, bud? What is that? What is that? They're coming to get us.
Sounds like water.
Just as so much rustling leaves.
I'm such a city person. I'm like, this is kind of
I
scary.
mean, there's a part of me, don't just hear there. There's a part of me that's like, do we have to get to higher ground? You know?
I'm like, where's the murderer?
Do I have to? No,
I
that
don't
was
even think about nature killing us. I'm like, where's the hatchet man in this place?
Oh, I'm kind of thinking like it was definitely, yes, for sure, a warning sound of some sort.
Yeah, like, you better get your asses down from this mountain, Whitey. It was like, dude, it sounded crazy.
It was
sounded
amazing.
like a fucking rapids was coming towards us, like water was about to rush us.
Oh,
dude.
Like this is the first time I've seen snow in maybe 8 years.
The
Easily.
snow is beautiful. I can't believe we're walking on snow. I'm in shorts again. I'm gonna just say I'm in
I mean, you're
shorts.
still a Californian. Don't get twisted. You are still a person of the flip flop.
I don't want to be considered that.
It's hard to get it out of the system.
It is. I went to New York for almost 20 years, and I even dyed my hair dark, and they were like, "LA?" And I was like, "Fuck."
Because I think of like these vortex cities, right? They talk about Sedona, San Francisco. LA is a vortex, but they also say it is like a dark vortex, an evil vortex. And I'm like, yeah. It's during the 60s we produced fucking The Doors, that one of the darkest fucking hippie bands.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily name The Doors.
Well, no, but I'm saying as compared to like the fuck.
What about Charles Manson?
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying music-wise compared to like the Grateful Dead.
I was like, oh my God, stand by, Sean, stand by.
No, I know. We have a lot of evil.
We made cults. LA made cults.
Yes.
Do you know there were no cults till LA made them?
I mean, we had whatever fucking Amy Semple and fucking all those.
We had what's her name? Who is the pimp? Come on, Amy. Amy Fleischman. No.
Oh yes.
Right?
Yes, the
pimp.
Yeah.
The lady pimp. And then she was the Heidi Fleiss.
Heidi Fleiss, yeah.
And she was the one who got busted, and they didn't bust anybody of her Johns.
Anybody else? Fucking lady has to take the fall.
Fucked.
You knows Martha Stewart.
Always took the
fall. Took the fall.
And it was her inciting trading guys that did it.
Yeah.
She's not a fucking traitor.
OJ, but again, OJ did it.
OJ's
But here's the thing.
OJ
still took the fall where guys of a similar profile.
Wait, took what fall? You mean for the robbery?
No, I'm saying he still got accused and had to go through the trial where other people in his position, if they were white, would not have had to go through it.
Right.
That's my point.
So we don't ever see white men killing their wives. We don't see court cases of white men who've killed their wives, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Aaron Hernandez is Mexican.
Well, we had Scott Peterson.
Oh, yeah, the Lacey Peterson guy.
Yeah, but that's about it.
And what about the kid? They never found the kid's killer, Benet.
No.
John Benet Ramsey.
Well, you know the rumor on that, right?
Parents.
Well, actually, the older brother.
No.
And they're covering up for him.
Was he jealous?
No, so it sounds like he was
her?
At the time, and they think they pushed through it, but he was developmentally disabled, and he was a few years older, and he was just like one of those developmentally disabled, angry kids. And they were giving all of their attention to John Benet.
So he was like a Lemmy, like she was like his rabbit.
Yeah, and then eventually now he's at Duke, and they've kind of, because they're a rich family, they were able to deal with a lot of his behavioral issues. And so he's coming off like a typical, whatever, Duke student, whatever that means, you know.
Oh, you mean Duke College. I thought you meant he was duked, like royal. Like, how the fuck did he become a duke?
Hey, if you go to Duke College, it's basically...
Well, they're like, you know what, are you retarded? So are the Blue Bloods. Come on over. Fucking bunch of inbred fucking tardos.
Yeah, so all of that, it's basically the parents, because they weren't able to protect one child from the other.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but a lot of the true crime people have dug into it, and they're like, yeah. Oh, it was actually... what's her head McNamara, Patton Oswalt's wife,
right,
at an ASCAT at UCB.
Right.
She's telling all these stories. She's like, oh, bring up a true crime, and I'll tell you who really did it. And then somebody said John Bonet, and she says, yeah, it's the brother. He's going to Duke right now. Blah blah blah.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you a murderino?
No, I mean, I listened to a lot of it. I listened to the first 2 seasons, especially when it was on poor little Dustin's network. Poor little broken Dustin.
Well,
but
yeah. Oh, they're huge now. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a phenomenon. Actually, I think it's a phenomenon.
Oh, and again, I think they are both amazing, like, performers, and they're so good at what they do.
I don't know them.
I kind of knew Georgia when she was with Allie on their original stuff that they were doing. They were doing a bunch of cooking shows. So I've kind of known her from that. And then obviously Karen's been around.
Yeah, Karen I know only because of the scene,
But I've met her a few times, but the one time, Dave Holmes at before Meltdown closed, he had the Friday 40. And, it was just basically a panel show, and they'd ask questions. And I fucking volunteered to be up, and it was fucking Karen and Chris Fairbanks and me. And I was like,
wow, what a great panel.
Holy shit.
What a fun panel.
It was amazing. But yeah, Karen's been doing her podcast with Chris for however long. And then, and Georgia had her own career. And when they came together on this, it was, what was that? Remember Heart to Heart? When they met, it was murder.
I hope Karen is Robert Wagner.
I think so, yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
She's got to be.
Was it
And
Stephanie
she would love that.
Zimbalist?
She would take that as a compliment.
What was it? Was it Stephanie Zimbalist who was, no, she had red hair.
I don't remember her name I remember Max was the
kind of butler,
guy
driver
that was like the help guy who helped them,
They were just basically gentlemen detectives.
Well, it was him and his wife.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We're the rich people that are like, yes, we shall solve these crimes.
I know, but so were Charlie's Angels. Like, everyone
I guess
was very
that's true.
privileged.
That's true. They all have
the
this.
detectives.
Holy shit.
Except for Beretta. Beretta was like a blue collar, like, wait 1 second.
Oh, you mean Columbo?
Let me ask you one more question.
You mean Columbo?
Columbo.
But
Who's
Beretta, Beretta was a real fucking cop, right?
Beretta was with the bird, or Columbo was with the bird?
Beretta was with the bird, but he
Okay.
was a real cop who had a chip on his shoulder. And that's why they made a show about him.
Bird.
But Columbo, I want to say Columbo was an actual police detective.
But he would fuck up, and then he'd figure it out by fucking it up.
Yeah. By
And
getting
he'd always
people to
make them, like, confess. 'cause
reveal themselves, yeah.
He would bumble. He played the bumbler.
Yeah, I call that in my head the Scotty syndrome on Star Trek, where it's like Scotty's always, I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. I don't know if we're going to pull it off. But every fucking single time he fucking pulls it off. And so I modeled a lot of my professional post-production career off of that.
Scotty?
Off of Scotty, meaning like I go into post-production and I'd be like, oh man, this is a lot. You got these really high expectations and da da da. We're going to need more money and time and blah, blah, blah. And then fucking pull off a miracle every single time. But that's, you kind of got, here's what I say about Hollywood. Like, having any career anywhere in Hollywood, it is a dramatic fucking industry. It is built on drama.
Yeah.
So if you do your job without any drama, they're not going to remember you and they may not call you back. But I always tell people, if they get on a shoot, all you have to do is not fuck it up, not cost anybody any money, and save the production one time. If you save the production one time, then they will fucking rehire you forever and ever and ever. Like the time I fucking was able to fucking pull an all-nighter with Tom Cruise, or well, not Tom Cruise, it was his package for the Kids' Choice Awards, and, Critics' Choice Awards. Then I fucking stayed there for 36 hours. Pulled off a miracle, but that's just Hollywood. Back to Jung. So it's almost like these koans they present you, put you in a very specific kind of thought process or meditative state.
I don't know. I think there's something to that, where you mean there's just like one or two lines that go real deep. But
Yeah.
what I think the practice has been for me with her, with this, is understanding that because of where we come from with this traumatic history, that the feelings that come up are totally legitimate. That it's not just this fucking anxious adult who's like, fuck, I can't fucking figure this out. It's no.
Yeah.
This is this baby, frightened fucking child who's completely in calamity. That's how children think.
Yeah. Catastrophic thinking all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can be witness to your child as the adult, and to whatever that means. A lot of times for me, it just means taking a minute, taking a breath, maybe crying a little bit for something that I never cried about.
Yeah, more in that
part, whatever that meant. And yeah, some children like ourselves had a daily struggle with issues. So there's so much that the kid still hasn't processed. So my practice is now to be really, really gentle when that comes up, and to know that it's old, and to know that it's just never been felt, and to know that the only way to get through everything that we deal with so much is feeling it.
Yeah, letting it happen.
It's sad and it's scary and it's painful, but it's momentary. It's momentary. It's not gonna be, and you learn that right in the program, where if you don't cling to these things, they're gonna pass.
Yeah.
And you learn that in Buddhism and in meditation. The thoughts, you're not trying to get rid of thoughts. You're trying to remember that they're not what you are.
Yeah.
You're not made up of these thoughts. These thoughts, there's nothing. Somebody once said in a meditation that I was at, thoughts are not good for anything except not bumping into furniture.
I always say the thing I use is like, the brain is an organ in our body. Thoughts can be just like the fart of your brain. Meaning like it's just a biological process, but we happen to give it a little more.
We give it too
again,
much
like
energy.
if we talk about the indigestion of a bad childhood, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to fucking barf or puke or think, dreams, push those things have to fucking come out.
They have to.
You got to fart them out.
Well, that's why yoga is such a great practice for a lot of people, because there's certain positions where your muscles are getting stretched, where the memory has been caught. And that, for me, I had a very hard time doing yoga. I couldn't practice for a long time because I was triggered in every position. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm not going to come here and weep on a yoga mat for an hour and a half. And then my teacher goes, it's not a bad idea.
No, if that's what you need, if that's what your yoga practice is.
Exactly. So again, and shit like The Artist's Way, I shouldn't say shit, but the book like The Artist's Way, which I swear by this goddamn book.
If you put the practices in practice, they will create things in your life that you didn't think you were capable of creating.
Capable of being gentle. Here comes that noise.
Yeah. It's so funny when I mentioned the Wendigo, and I think he is associated with wind. I was like,
you just got it.
Is the Wendigo coming?
Because there was we didn't have any wind going up the hill.
Nope.
That was magic, man.
It is magic.
Magic's real, I know.
Well, so I was going to say this about Jung.
Yeah.
I think, and there's people like Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, I would even say like Robert Oppenheimer, where they were, Robert Oppenheimer read from not the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedic, he read a Vedic thing when they blew up the first bomb. I am the destroyer of worlds. I think that's a thing that Vishnu or somebody says.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he cast a spell. He ritualized that moment.
Right.
So I think what happened, like in that moment, whatever the dark or light or the mysterious aspect of magic, it changed in that moment, and it kind of went more underground, and science became this kind of more prominent idea. And
also because the idea of witches and feminine, they didn't want the feminine to be so powerful. And really the idea of a witch, I mean, my mom always told me that we were witches because we practiced naturopath.
Yeah.
We practice homeopath.
Yeah,
we
folk
practice
medicine. Yeah.
astrology. We practice astronomy. You know, it was all these things that had to do with earth and sky, tides and, you know, moon. And so the idea that the strength of a woman, or you could say the weakness as well, comes with her moon.
Sure.
And I once went to a sweat lodge ceremony, and they wouldn't let me in the lodge.
Because you were on your period?
Because I was on my period.
Well, I think...
And they told me I was too strong. They said, you'll take the power from the lodge. That's how strong you are at this moment. And that was so un-American to me. I didn't understand at all what that meant. And then I
have the right to bleed wherever the fuck I want.
Well, I was so confused, and I understood how I felt really... I didn't want to go before we went, and I thought I was just being like a shitty young woman. And then when I got there, I realized it was a real instinct that I could listen to, and that it was
gotcha.
Right.
Interesting. So I think like so much of, yes, where we're at in late capitalism is definitely a patriarchal, like it's manacling the population in a way that doesn't allow the imagination of whatever that could be. I can't put a name on it, but it definitely has a lot to do with feminine energy, definitely has to do with intuition.
It's the unproven.
Yes.
It's this idea that there's something beyond us.
Yes.
That we're not all fucking knowing, that we're not all seeing, that we're not this stupid thing that we started this show with the idea of this all-seeing, all-knowing, punishable God. Yeah. And if we all think of ourselves in that incarnation, what a joke, man.
Well, I mean,
that's why the native folk had it right. We are not anything except here to serve back to Mother Earth.
Yeah.
They took and they gave back.
Well, we're also part of it.
Right.
It's like
how it works.
We're just these fucking
vessels.
Weird fucking water meat creatures that popped out of the...
Yeah.
We just popped out of it.
Yeah.
We're walking around on top of it, but we're still part of it.
Yeah.
Which
we should probably take our shoes off to do this.
Oh, my feet are so tender, though.
I know, I'm just so used to shoes all the time.
It's so
and it's
funny.
so cold.
It's true. I'm because I've been doing so many hikes,
Right.
I'm going to go to see a podiatrist so he could give me some, what do they call those things that you put in your shoes?
I don't know, correctors?
Yeah, whatever. There's a word for it. And I'm like, just so I can trot on Mother Earth more comfortably.
Well, if I was a true healer, I'd tell you just remove your shoes next time.
Well, it's so funny because I summited Mount Baldy in my 5-finger, my Vibram.
Oh, God, I remember those. Yeah, you wore those to class.
Yeah, and I went to the top of the hill. And it was amazing and exhausting, and I'm glad I did it. But then I decided to switch into fucking regular boots.
No.
On the way down.
Oh no, and that's where you fucked up.
Just stumbling the whole way.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because I wasn't using the same muscles coming down that I'd use going up.
Right.
I want to say this about Jung real quick.
Yeah.
So I think he was at the age, especially when he wrote the Red Book. Is that the one of his mystical kind of teachings?
I don't know. I wish I were more familiar with his books.
So yeah, this is one that like people were just like, come on, bro, what are you doing? But because it was his mystical teachings. Uh-huh. So he approached these ideas of the archetypes and these deep kind of like subconscious realms as mysterium, as like the occult, as mystical. Yeah. And in the Freud's, one of the reasons they had to break is because Jung was so much more open to the idea that there was something beyond what we could show evidence for. Yes. And because Freud was trying to really promote this very specific thing, he didn't want there to be
no outside forces.
Yes, he didn't want it to seem unscientific.
Right.
Yeah, he wanted it to be like yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. And he also really was very rigid.
Oh, yeah.
And he was very rigid about the idea of sex.
Oh, for sure. But that's because he was a big old coke fiend.
Well, yeah, and he was German. I mean, I hate to talk shit about the Germans, but my goodness.
Was he Austrian?
Austrian, German.
Yeah, but still.
I feel like Eastern European. Is that Eastern?
Well, no, but that's the culture that produced Hitler.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a very strict and rigid piece, and I love that Jung came in and said, wait. We can't be in control of all of this. Right?
Yeah.
There's no way. There's a definite mystical realm that has a lot of power if we allow ourselves to tap into it.
Yes. Well, and I think, and again, like I could say it as simply as this, because this is like one of my gurus is Michael Bernard Beckwith over at Agape, right? It could just be the power of our creative imagination, but that power is so powerful and we don't tap into it enough, and we know the placebo effect really works.
Yeah.
So if you use your creative imagination as a way to exercise, the demons heal your body, whatever, and there's a profound healing inside of you, then it doesn't matter where it comes from. Yeah, then it doesn't matter where it comes from.
Exactly.
You know, it's part of one of the reasons I even mention that is I'm trying to be on the margin between atheism and mysticism, because I think there's power in both of them.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, the power in when I became an atheist was about rejecting the magical thinking that was foisted upon me by other people, by the culture.
Did you grow up religious?
Yeah, my grandfather was a Christian minister. He was a tent revival minister. So we have that as part of our history. He came out to California, Southern California, when the Dust Bowl hit and he couldn't preach to his people anymore because everybody was dying and leaving, right? He was one of the Okies that left the area, like, what's that Steinbeck novel? So he was one of those people that had to get out of Kansas because it was just dying, and he had no people. He came and he became a dog catcher, right? Which I'm like, he was a catcher of souls. Now he's a catcher of dogs. And,
some would say many souls live in a dog.
Yes. And I think there's a great poetry about that. And he helped found Long Beach First Christian Church, which he was one of the founding members. He I don't know if he actually did any ministering while he was there, but he was one of the elders of the church when he came in. And then he had kind of moved on to like kind of other churches and retired by the time I was old enough to start going to church. But my dad was an elder at the church, and so we used to go all the time. And I'll say this about the Christianity that I was raised in.
Yeah.
Very middle of the road, mostly sweet people. Yes, there was some busybodies shaking their fingers, but they were the minority. I didn't like the 19th century songs that we had to sing. We will come rejoicing, bringing in the sheaves. It's fine. At least it's singing. And the message was always like pretty middle of the road, nothing about hell. But being a person that kind of identified as Christian in a Christian culture, seeing how Christians treated everybody around them with the satanic panic and all that.
Wielded their Christianity.
Yes. And so what I realized is like, oh, I can't be a part of this anymore. Like this is, it was infusing in me. And so but then what ended up happening before I actually became an atheist, I was, made a deal with the devil. I wrote about this and I'm writing a memoir right now, and doing the deal with the devil made me sex and drugs and rock and roll. And I fucking had a great time. By the time just before I kind of got turned on to Buddhism, I was a Satanist. I still think they're very free thinkers, but I was doing it as a rejection.
My cat.
Yeah, but I was doing it as
I'm serious. I buried my cat up in Griffith, and they fucking unburied her and used her in a goddamn ceremony. And I'm like, you fucking come on, man.
I mean, I would say, like, just like anything, there's good ones, there's bad ones.
Just like anything. And I appreciate you telling me your history.
Yeah.
Because I think, and I'll tell you mine, because I think it doesn't matter what vein you're raised in, you're always going to reject it. Because I was raised with Krishnamurti and Mihir Baba and fucking, all these like killer ideas about life and philosophies and spirit. And yet my mom was getting beaten and put a gun to her face by her boyfriend on a daily basis.
Who was part of this
so
tradition?
We had, it was because she didn't understand what it really meant. She just put the posters up and had the books in the house. So you can't say be here now and then get hit in the face by a guy every day.
Let's we've gone already 45 minutes. Let's head back.
Oh, okay. Is it time? Okay.
Just an hour and a half is enough.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't need to talk anymore on your thing. I mean, I like talking to you, but
we'll go hit some thrift shops.
I love it. But I must say, being raised in a place where that stuff was touted, you would think I would be like, oh, yeah, that's, oh, my God, I listened to Krishnamurti. Oh, Buddhism is like the best thing. But in actuality...
What?
Folks, Barney. Get him, Barney.
Yes.
Get him.
I'm a believer in dog.
Well, yeah.
Right,
Dog
bud?
is the only thing to believe in.
Here.
It's the only tangible thing, really.
Yes.
Yeah, Barney.
He likes a big stick.
Woo!
Awkward, weird. Get it, Barney.
Bigger than him. My God.
Get it. A real challenge. So she was kind of like into that stuff, but not really like practicing the core values.
No, not practicing it at all. And so what it did was it contaminated it for me.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I thought to myself growing up, I think I need a religion. I need something to believe in. I had nothing to believe in. I didn't believe in shit.
Yeah.
I never believed in anything. I didn't believe in the kindness of people. I didn't believe in myself.
You were a nihilist.
I guess. I didn't know what it was called. I just didn't fucking care. I was out death wish. I didn't give a fuck. But then I couldn't ignore it. Yeah, Barney, yeah! I just couldn't ignore the facts.
Well, though, but you... So,
performing. First it was heroin. And then heroin...
I mean, there's definitely that's a plant medicine, and there's a demon god that lives inside of it.
Well, yeah,
for
and
sure.
I had grown up with people who celebrated heroin addicts.
Yeah.
All the heroes at my house had died young.
Yeah.
So I figured that's the way to go. Live fast, die young. Like,
sounds very familiar.
Leave a cute corpse.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah, but then
Well, then the suicide doesn't take, and you got to outlive it.
I couldn't fucking believe some guy, we'll call him an angel, just disrupted my heroin fucking problem and put me on stage, and I told a joke, and the laughter was way better than the dope.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it.
And in a weird way, what you were looking for, really, kind of like recognition,
validation,
affirmation.
Yeah,
a little bit of attention.
Myself, that I actually had something to say, that I had a story I had to tell.
And a little bit of adoration, and just being able to truly be yourself.
Yep.
Which is, I think, what a lot of people miss when they, like the good ones. Maybe you are your truly true self when you tell a jokey joke. Maybe people are.
I mean, you could be.
Yeah. Maybe
it doesn't penetrate as deeply for others.
Yeah.
When you watch Richard Pryor talk about burning himself.
Oh my God, so good.
Or even Bernie Mac talking about taking in his sister, the drug addict's kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't even compare to Cedric the Entertainer lighting a cigarette like a G. You know what I mean? Whereas that's funny, and I laugh, and he's funny, but he's not giving us anything raw, anything real, anything that we could sink our teeth into.
And again,
or vibe.
He's telling us in his name, Cedric the Entertainer.
I'm an entertainer.
He's an entertainer. And so he's like...
That's Cedric the Deep.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's like a hero that I want. Cedric the Deep, what's up?
I mean, Jess the Deep. Heroin.
Yeah, heroin was great until it wasn't bringing me And he
No,
laughed.
I wanted to ask you this though.
Yeah.
You talk about Judaism a little bit, being of the people.
I do now because my mom moved to LA from New York, got a nose job, and changed her name before I was born.
Okay, so she was.
So I didn't know I was a Jew.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so she was real proud, you know.
So what was she running from in her Judaism, do you think?
I think it was just her entire family life.
Okay.
Her entire history.
Was it like Orthodox? What was going on there?
No,
do you know any of them?
It was nothing heavy duty religious.
Oh, okay.
I just think she talk about getting away as far as you can from yourself.
Yeah. Poor
Why
thing.
she wanted to be an actress.
Oh.
Because she couldn't handle being in her real self.
Yeah.
And a friend of hers sent me, so fucking weird, Sean. A friend of hers sent me her acting reel recently.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'd never seen it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, she moved out when I was 15, so we didn't really have a lot of time to, you know.
Yeah.
So I watched it and I was
she
like,
had a whole secret life.
well, I knew she was an actress.
Yeah, okay.
But I watched the acting reel and I realized why we were on welfare my whole life.
Hey, come on. If you saw my first acting job on...
No, this wasn't her first. This was all of them.
Oh, the accumulated...
The put together 10-minute every single thing she ever did.
Well, I mean...
And here's what's great, though. What I learned about her, she was fan-fucking-tastic if she had to do a big character.
Okay.
So if you had to be real, not so good.
Interesting.
But character, this is a Jew from New York, Queens, who got to play opposite Kevin Costner in Wyatt Earp as a whore who bathes him.
Oh, wow. Shit, I'll have to watch that again.
It's a great fucking scene.
The problem is it's a 3-hour movie, and I'm a little on the fence about Kevin Costner.
No, you just have to fast forward it to the whore.
That's true. I just get to that scene.
Where's Jess's mom, whore?
Yeah, I want to see the whore.
Let me see that fat whore. Yeah, she's a big whore, and she was always cast as a whore. Like, she was in Cannery Row. She was a whore. She's always a whore.
Well,
or like a white trashy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, the archetypes that Hollywood will give certain women. But here's the crazy thing. Nobody has told the story yet, and it was a little bit in Deadwood, but not very much, of the fucking whores that owned the fucking city.
Yes.
The reason...
Huge entrepreneurs.
Yes, huge fucking support. Like the
that
reason...
ran the town.
Yeah, that ran the town. Storyville in New Orleans, that 9-block area, it became the 9-block area where shit could go down. Basically the red light district.
Right.
Because, and I can't remember her name, but she was literally the most powerful woman in the region. Not just New Orleans.
Right.
Like she could have taken over Louisiana probably if she wanted. But they kept on fucking making laws against her and making laws against her. And eventually, you know, she had her 9-block empire and she died. And, you know, the stories came out about how she was giving to this orphanage and this church and da-da-da. And it's like, no wonder she was so well loved.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe you can play her in the movie.
Well, either her or Boxcar Annie. Do you know the story of...
Boxcar Annie?
Yeah, she has the same story as Siddhartha.
Oh, wow.
And no one really wants to talk about it because she was a woman, but also because she went, not just left the palace, you know, Buddha, he left his palace, he left being a prince, right, Siddhartha. He was like, I'm going out, there's nothing, I'm not satisfied. He was like the Beatles before they went to India, right? He's like, I got all the drugs, I got all the bitches, I got all the money, I fucking still aren't happy.
Yeah.
So she also came from a very, very wealthy family. Yes.
Wow.
She disguised herself, went out, lived as a hobo, lived as a prostitute, so much so that she actually contracted syphilis and ended up dying in the streets. But
holy shit.
her last writings were about her being so grateful to have lived a real life and experienced real suffering and struggle. She said that's what it means to be a full being as a human on this planet, experiencing all factions of our lives.
Yeah.
And then knowing neither's really, it is harder to live on a train as a hobo than it is to live in a castle, but is it psychologically?
Well, I'd say this.
So, you know what I mean? Like, these were the questions that she pondered.
I do have a little bit of an answer to that. It's so much harder to be present in the moment, in the castle, in the comfort of the castle, than it is in the discomfort of the train car.
Right.
And I think that if we are God having a divine experience, God doesn't want to fucking chill in a fucking nice bed. You know what I mean? Like, God wants to fucking feel what it's like to sleep on the cold fucking metal of a fucking boxcar. You know?
Well, yeah, it's also that idea, or that real fact of the matter is that you have to have dark in order to have light, right?
Yes.
So even right now, what I'm dealing with at my apartment, my furniture still isn't there. So
damn. What do you got, like a lawn chair and a fucking... you said you bought one pot?
I do. I have a TV tray, a folding chair metal, and a blow-up bed. And I have to say, and I have a prism, like yours, the crystal that you hang in your car.
Yeah.
I have a loose one that I move around the house.
Ah, nice.
Because I go, well, at least I have rainbows.
Yeah.
And then that's enough for me. I go, I can make my coffee, I can write, I can talk on the phone if I need be, if I look on the computer. Whatever, all my needs are taken care of.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't fucking need like a 4-poster bed and cable TV and all this shit. That actually makes me a little bit more...
Well, it's like, hello. I know you needed this so bad. He was such a grump last night because we'd been 4 days without a...
Yes, boy, yes.
Without a hike. Yes, look at how happy he is.
So cute.
4 days without a hike.
That's insanity, sir.
Yeah. Probably the first 4 days without a hike since I got back from the meditation retreat.
Which was in March?
Valentine's Day.
February.
Yeah, so it's crazy. I think my suspicion is that people, made reservations for this time, and then Valentine's Day, the Oscars, and the first primary debates, or the first primary election was falling right on that week, and people were like, I gotta see what's happening. And they couldn't emotionally let themselves go to the retreat, so they started canceling. Oh. That's my theory. I mean, I don't know.
Certainly overwhelming.
Because originally, I think it was the end of March when my real time was scheduled. And I was happy with that. But the fact that I got in there before all this shit went down, whoo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when everything we're talking about, isn't it all come back to that it's all meant to be?
Yes.
I mean, even the people, I've lost so many people the last few years, I've had a lot of death in my life, but I must say that it's gotten to teach me an immense amount about myself and the world and love, intimacy, parental shit.
Well, it's so interesting, this thing you said yesterday on your podcast. Which, how long ago did Ellen?
Yeah.
Yeah, how long ago did she die?
3 years.
3 years. So, it's almost as if you weren't giving yourself permission, you kind of said this on the podcast, to just say whatever it is you wanted to say, because when she was alive, you still felt that tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I can't believe I said that, because a lot of times, I was telling Sean, for the listeners that are with us, I was telling Sean earlier that I a lot of times don't remember what I say on my show, because there's very much of spirit it's coming through. Yeah. So
it's interesting, though, the spirit that you're invoking is like past Jess. Well, you're tapping into that.
It is a good time. I have a good time. But I also are having these intense epiphanies about I have friends that are scared about their parents dying. So I've been talking about that a lot recently. So I feel like it crept into my subconscious.
Sure.
And it was a message.
So you're basically an orphan now, right?
Say what?
You're basically an orphan?
I mean, I always was.
That's
the thing.
Oh man, you're a Disney princess.
Yeah, for sure.
We just had to find your kingdom and put you on the throne.
I'm here, bro. This is it. You made it. Bouquet. Yes. Find me some John Redcorn, motherfucker.
Well, it's funny because my mom's in full-time care. I kind of consider myself 3/4 of the way to being an orphan, 3/4 of an orphan.
Yeah.
Because she's not dead yet, so I haven't felt that catharsis. But spiritually, emotionally, mentally, she's not there. Like I have no one of that generation. I have an aunt maybe or an uncle I could reach out to.
Yeah, I have an aunt.
But nobody of that generation that I can rely on. I mean, not that
you never could. Pardon me,
yes,
you never could. Hi.
It's true. It's true.
P.S. That generation sucks assholes.
It's true. I will say, I mean, my dad was somewhat a little bit more reliable than my mom, who was just an asshole.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that generation.
He just had a weak character and he was broken by her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
How rebellious. So have you come to the part yet where you start to have compassion for your parents' upbringing?
I mean, I love, like my dad is like poor, sad dad that he got wrapped up with my monster of a mother, Erin. But one of these pathways to forgiveness for my mom is kind of a little bit of a pathway to forgiveness for myself. There's a book called Neurotribes, which is the history of autism. Mm-hmm. And as I'm reading it, he's talking about these female autistics.
Oh boy.
And I'm going, oh shit, that's my fucking mom.
Yeah.
I used to call her Robot Mom. She was like, she read the Dr. Spock book about how to be a mother, and she just did all of the tasks. But you know, the damage comes in her inability to express emotions and be social and like
her true self.
Yeah, like her real handicap that she had.
Right.
You know? And so when I read that, I was like, oh, I'm probably a little bit on the spectrum. We all are. And I can see the blending.
What did you just see, Barney?
I could see the blending of, you know, my father was, you know, salt of the earth, sweet, gentle spirit, just literally just broken by my mom and her expectations about what a man should be. And then Robo-Mom, who just had her ideas about the way the world should be.
Right.
And so I have those in me, those two spirits.
Yeah.
And so I forgive her because I used to think she was a true sociopath. Like I used to think she had no emotional reserve and that she couldn't empathize with other human beings. Because when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I hurt somebody's feelings and they cried or something like that. And in that moment, I was like, oh, people have real feelings. We're not all just faking our feelings. Because I had that dealing with my mom.
Right.
She was always crying crocodile tears and manipulating me. Mm-hmm. So I just started doing the same thing.
Yeah.
To out fucking manipulate her, you know? And so I thought she was just a sociopath. Yeah. Like I thought she just had no emotional reserves for other people. This made me forgive her and like, oh, she was basically a developmentally disabled woman who was never identified, that was forced to raise 2 children on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's why I asked, because there usually is some sort of stem to the madness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My mom definitely was mentally disabled in a lot of ways. And she hurt children. She was a molester. She was a monster to children and was fired numerous times from nanny jobs.
Damn. Well, okay, let me ask you
I didn't really understand what that meant as a kid because I was always protecting her.
Yes.
And she would tell me stories of other people, but then as I got older, I realized
it was her.
They were stories about she and I.
Whoa!
Oh, it was so
fucking crazy.
It's so hard. And then you go, oh my God, how do I not hate this fucking woman? And then I go, God, she must have. I've had a cat who I feel more loving towards than she treated me. Like I go, you know, this lady was fucking disturbed. And then maybe you look at some photographs and stuff. And my poor mom, she never looked in the camera.
Yeah.
She never once looked the same way that everybody else was. Where the fuck is this bitch looking?
Yeah.
Where is she? What is she looking at?
Right there it is. It's right there. It's right there.
Gone.
Seriously.
Gone.
Seriously.
In another dimension.
Yeah.
And fucking bless her for not killing me on the way up.
Well, let me ask you this, because I
was in danger a lot.
A lot, for sure. But let me ask you this, because I think there's a very particular psychological disease that is transmitted in a very particular way. And it's like if you were touched as a child, sometimes you will go and touch other people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's this very interesting way in which this disease is communicated to other people.
Oh, no, I molested a runaway. I used to take in runaways because I was 15.
Yeah.
On my own.
And
my mom left the hotel room we lived in. So I would let runaways spend the night there, and one of them was like I could like abuse her.
Yeah, she's your doll.
And it just seemed like that was normal.
Sure, because that's what you were raised in.
Yeah, and it never seemed weird, and it never seemed wrong, and it never seemed like anything she didn't want to do either. Or,
yeah.
You know,
and again, maybe she had been primed for that, and the reason she was running away.
She ran away from a house that was like that, and then she ran into my house that was like that. But
well, yeah, and again, we're all in a weird way, kind of like whatever. It's like fucking, you gotta have sex. Are you gonna use the sex to fucking perpetuate your trauma or heal your trauma? Well, sometimes it's both.
Right, or sometimes you're just a kid and you don't fucking know better.
Yeah.
And that kid I've had to forgive for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends died at that time in my life. I was a teenage hooker with my friend's grandma used to pimp us out as children. Like, it was so intense. And yet, I just thought that's what everyone was doing. I thought this is how everyone lived.
How are your disassociating skills?
Now?
Yeah, you don't disassociate anymore.
Now, no,
you see,
because I will tell you, the guy downstairs who was texting me and saying, I'm really going to be honest with you. I think you're really beautiful. I would love it if sometime we could cuddle. To me, it freaked me right out because my child said to me, "Come on, Jessica, he's in a wheelchair. It would make him feel better."
Damn.
My adult witnessed my child, and my adult said, "No, baby, we don't have to do that anymore."
Holy shit.
I could cry right now. That shit was so deep and powerful. And then I was like, "Want to take a bubble bath?" Yeah.
Yes.
Do I still sleep with a stuffed animal?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, are you fucking kidding me right now?
I'll tell you though, I realized, oh no, I want to get to this thing that happened to me just last night or the night before. But I realized that disassociation was my fucking superpower when I was a kid.
When you're a kid, you turn it right
I was just like, fucking go somewhere else.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm gone, baby. Beep. It was fucking amazing. And then when so you start coming into your body and you do therapy and psychedelics and stuff like that, you like, oh shit, I basically shut off so much of the trauma. It's still there. The body takes the score or whatever that book is. But I have so I'm doing this kind of therapy, somatic experiencing, and my friend is learning how to do it, so she's giving me some free sessions.
Yes.
And
one of my best friends is a soma
therapist. It's so fucking powerful.
Yeah.
So I had this neck thing, a back thing, blah, blah, blah. We went through all that. Last time we talked, and she's very good because she's intuitive and she comes at it from a little bit of an oblique angle, and then these things come out. I saw my mom stab my father, right? So the basic idea is my dad is there and she's like, "You got to give me child support." And he's got the checkbook out. He's yelling at her and she's yelling at him. And she picks up the pen and she fucking stabs him in the fucking chest with the pen, right?
Yeah.
So I see blood. I see the blue ink on his white shirt, red, white, and blue. God bless America.
Looking at your bag right now.
Yes.
That you're carrying.
Oh yeah, shit, that's right. God bless America,
it's
baby.
It's a big thing of blue with some
But
red
then I realized, and also he showed me later on, he had a little tiny kind of ink mark that it was under the skin, like a tattoo. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to figure out that trauma by getting tattoos myself.
Yeah.
By being in it's like what I said to her, and I think it's true, is like, I was both titillated by the violence, like, oh my God, something's happening. And I was horrified, and it was all these complex emotions. And I was, in that time, I had been so identified with my mother. Yeah. Like, I was just like, I don't know, we were one and the same. We had no boundaries.
The enmeshment is dangerous.
Enmeshment, there it is.
Yeah. But that's what mothers do to their kids who they need to take care of them.
Yeah, and again, I think it's part of a natural, what's it called, process, developmental process.
It is, but it's dangerous when it envelops the child.
Yes.
And the fears of the parent are pushed onto the kid. It's like, my mom used to say to me all the time, Jesse, put on a sweater, I'm freezing.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then I'd say, God, Mom,
oh, poor little
Dad's
guy.
such a pervert. He's such a pervert. I really am so uncomfortable with him all the time. And she'd go, I know he's a pervert, honey. So then stop dropping me off with him.
Ugh.
Ugh. So a lot of the stuff, why do you go back to the guy who hits you in the face and threatens your life with guns? Because we have great sex.
Well, yeah.
Whoa.
But the crazy people definitely have better sex.
Well, that was a joke that I used to do, Sean, where I would say, you know how there was that saying, like, the crazier the person, the better the sex is? And I never could find anybody as crazy as my... Oh, damn! It's me.
Hey, we're trying to reach deep into the deepest, brokenest part of ourselves.
Yeah.
And the only way to get to that is by a lot of fucking whips and chains and creepiness and perversion.
Well, I have a joke about the apocalypse of what's your skill, And I'm like, dick sucking. And my friend goes, oh, Jessica, that's not a skill. And I said, first of all, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
I said, and I know there are 4 or 5 men in this audience right now who are looking at me going, I'd give that lady fresh water.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I do this whole thing about being a Jew and sucking a dick, and I want people to like me, And it's very much tapping into a really true place.
So have you heard of this idea called constellations?
No.
You know what this is?
No.
So I happened on it. It's a kind of, so it is healing ancestral trauma. Oh. And the constellations are the constellations of trauma that are in each generation.
Oh, like the DNA stuff.
Yeah. So it's interesting because when you don't know your dad, but or whatever, but or the guy that you were
kind of do.
Yeah, the guy you were being dropped off with, whoever. Yeah. He's got his own trauma, but whatever it was, let's say that your mother was running away from, whatever that thing, it's like, oh, how many generations are you the beneficiary of all that craziness? And we all are. I think all of us.
I talk a lot to my friends about that, especially my black friends who come from their ancestors were slaves. Yeah. And even for, for me, I just have, the Jewish ghetto, Orchard Street and Schmatas and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's my great, great people. So the history of trauma is pretty deep in my ancestral line.
Well, I think and I would say, yes, I think a lot of us, especially those of us that are, whatever, white trash, whatever it is, black people, we still are the trauma is close, like our fucking pulse, right?
Yeah, it's still right on the surface.
And those motherfuckers that are running the planet,
they want to keep us reminded of it.
Or they haven't really experienced it because they've been in their fucking castles. And it's so just fucking suit up and show up. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. Your great-grandfather fucking scanned my great-grandfather out of some shit. Yeah. And I'm fucking here now fucking telling you to fuck right off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think we're of this generation specifically, Gen X and Y and maybe the millennials, we should just get a fucking full ride scholarship to not have to do shit. Because we're like...
Well, that's happening though, don't you think, Sean?
A little bit, yeah.
I think we're taking it upon ourselves to leave the corporate work world.
Yes.
We're taking it upon ourselves to make mystical jobs make money.
Yeah.
We're taking it upon ourselves to bring back the idea that storytelling is the one thing that really matters when people When we lose the grid.
Yeah. Being able to sit
We'll
in front
have
of the
to
fire.
gather.
Sit in front of the fire with
Yeah.
a few people and say, hey, it was like this.
Yep.
We don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I think
That's a huge piece, I think, that's coming back.
my one of my biggest, most profound mushroom journeys as part of my mushroom cult I was in. No, it was just a mushroom group up in the Bay Area. But when I had my death trip, the thing that was revealed to me is like, all of this is just a gigantic narrative.
Yeah.
Right? From the Big
birth.
Bang is basically like just the fucking opening scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's all these tributaries and, looping stories and this and that. And you just happen to be in your story, telling your story right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like others before us.
Yeah. And we just hand it down,
Yep. I mean, a lot of the talk of Vedas, a lot of the talk of Soma really is appealing to friends of mine who are studiers of Shakespeare, studiers of Greek chorus, theater, improvisation. All that stuff lends itself.
Yeah.
Shakespeare fucking created words.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
How insane is that shit?
Oh, well, it's amazing. And again, you're inspiring me because I was one of these young, creative people that would kind of like want to invent a new word every few months. Want to fucking coin a new phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, for some reason, either I forgot, like I feel like that's definitely a part of my consciousness, is this constant forgetting, or somebody disinhibited me from wanting to do it. Said, oh, that's stupid, or why are you using... Like probably when I went and took some English course, and they're like, what's this word mean?
Right.
And I was like, I made it up. Were you giving me a B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have... I had a real severe throat and chest infections as a child, like constantly.
Oof.
The swelling of the tonsils and the throat and the throat and the throat and the throat. And I realized it's because they kept telling me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Fucking sit down and shut up.
Just
fucking
shut the fuck up.
Mind
What
your
are you
own
doing?
business.
Well, how do you not know that? I'm 5, you dicks.
Yeah.
How would I know that?
Yeah.
And that's the idea of putting the kind of pressure on a child to know before they've been taught. I would like to say that is probably worse than any physical abuse.
How you doing, sir?
Oh, he's jamming it out.
Be careful.
Be careful, Barney.
We've got a wild coyote here. He's vicious.
Barney!
Oh, watch out, bud. Stop being a punk.
Come on, Barnacle. Barnacle.
Yeah, I get a little self-conscious with other people on the trail because I get yelled at a lot for not having him on a leash.
Really?
I'd say...
In Los Angeles, I imagine.
Well, actually, just in Tucson.
Really?
But it was a very
specific...
specific... Yeah, it was a very specific hike that was like a preserve. And I had him off leash and there was not supposed to be any dogs there. So I was getting yelled at a lot there. So fair enough. Yeah. But I think people are like... They have this, predisposition to think a dog's going to attack them if they're off a leash. And I get it. It's fine, but...
Yeah, Barney looks pretty gnarly.
And again, like...
Who's scared of a dog that size?
People are.
Jesus.
People are. And, sometimes he senses it. And he'll I saw he run somebody up a fence a little bit. And I felt bad, but they were like, oh, no, it's okay. And I was like, okay. If you say so. But
now, can I ask you about this tree right here? Did this just fall? Like it just
fell?
So
it's got some kind of...
This is an infection?
So this is what they call cellulose. Yeah, some kind of tree disease got into it, and just slowly over time, probably like...
That looks fire.
That may have been.
Burned.
Well, it's interesting, but this is definitely like...
This is
the wood rot or whatever. It's a fungus or a bacteria maybe.
Is it on that right there? Is that what that is? That's cracking that tree right there? This little guy in front of us?
It could be, but usually the younger trees have better immune systems so they can fend it off. Or it'll get in it and just fucking grow and grow and grow. And then when it gets to this size, it's like, then it's like, gotcha! I knew you'd fucking,
Wow.
So, but I think, The good thing about that fallen log, obviously, is like now it's going to fill up with mycelia, which is mushrooms. All of these fallen trees are the perfect kind of environment for mushrooms.
No way. Psychedelic?
So, well, any mushroom. So mushrooms grow inside of like wood pulp and rotting wood. So yes, you could grow.
I thought it was poo-poo.
Well, you could. That's a very specific kind of. I want to say Amanita muscara up in the Northwest. But yes, you have to have some poop. Poop is good because it's porous and it's got all kinds of stuff in it. But yeah, you do wood pulp, poop. Sometimes it's moss, like chunks of like peat moss.
Can I ask you this now, Mushroom Man?
Yes.
The last time I did mushrooms, and I didn't want to, which I know had a lot to do with my trip. But
yes, for sure.
And the guy I was with lit the house on fire by accident. There was a lot going on in that trip. But let me ask you this. Because I'm a lover of acid.
Yes.
I love acid so much more.
Yes.
Is it because, Sean, acid is outside and mushrooms are so inside?
See, here's the way I look at it. Because I mostly microdose on acid, and then occasionally once every year or two, I will megadose on mushrooms.
Well, I saw all my ancestors. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I did see all my ancestors last time. And they were all telling me everything was going to be cool. They were in a spiral holding hands. Like, it was awesome. All my dead people showed up for me. But
it was still a difficult, I think
very difficult.
So I think what it is, it's two things. I think it's the possibility of having a difficult journey on mushrooms is much higher because setting really matter. I cannot, if I do not fast for 6 hours before I do mushrooms, I will not have a good trip because my stomach will be upset. So that's first off. So
right, you know yourself.
Yeah,
now.
so that's the first thing. And then also setting, like fucking getting out in nature or fucking being around trusted people.
No, we had no connection. It made me very sad.
Yeah.
Because he talked me into it in the romance. And he said, it'll make us be closer. It'll bring us closer intimately.
It should have been MDMA.
Well, I didn't know what to think. He made tea and he just made it too strong. I think I drank an eighth.
Woo!
And it was so...
That's almost a hero dose.
I was so gone. And I mean, I was there, but I was gone and I didn't love it. I really didn't.
Well, and also probably you didn't love him.
I did. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
And he was somebody who I thought I needed to help.
Yeah,
but he also showed me a picture of his I had this female friend who had just had a baby. And I'm losing my ability to have a baby now.
Yeah.
So he came over and he showed that to me when we were tripping.
Ugh.
And it totally, I took it personally.
Soured it.
Yeah,
you can't not though. That's when you're on
a powerful,
while you're on a powerful psychedelic, it is nearly impossible for you to separate yourself from that energy.
Yeah.
It's nearly, but I'll say this about acid, because it's made in a lab.
Yeah.
And there are more stricter kind of like controls on it.
You mean in the making of it?
In the making of it.
Yeah.
You're going to get a little more of a consistent dose. I feel that LSD, for me, helps me unwind, let's say, intellectual problems. Helps me think through the problems, where mushrooms throw me into a realm where I have to fight demons emotionally. Where it's like...
So it is. So it's feeling
versus
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
How
what
you
I
doing?
think. Hey, good afternoon. Good stuff. Well, I love that because that's what I think. I don't think I get as intellectual because, my nickname used to be Fry Baby as a kid.
Because you ate so much
I
acid.
took so much acid and I would go to punk rock shows,
Well,
which is
it makes sense.
the most insane. But that's how I grew up.
It
was
makes
around
sense.
violence and craziness.
Yeah.
But the child...
It's ritualizing the feeling inside of you.
Yeah, so the child... So what would happen is I'd show up at these shows, I'd have a bag of toys under my arm.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I would sit in the parking lot and wait. And every child, every punk rock fucking toughy, mohawky fucking kid who had missed their childhood gathered around.
Hey, come here. Oh, there you are. Whew.
I mean, gathered like it was...
Well, you were on some levels, you were doing a shamanic ritual.
I was ritualizing their childhood. I do have to pee.
Okay, I'm going to pee too.
Is there a lady in here?
No, probably not.
Ooh, it stinks so bad.
This one's not so bad because it's been open.
Here, can you hold my... Oh, no.
Oh, absolutely. Here.
It's okay. I can put it under this. It's all right. It smelled like poop. Oh, it's just doo-doo everywhere. Ah!
It's got to happen.
Doo-doo. Ah! I got to wear my mask and just try to close this. Oh, my God.
You're not going to be able to do it?
I'm just going to wear my mask. Oh, am I still on the mic? It's so disgusting. You guys are going to hear me pee? Ah! Ah! Turn on. Wait. I don't want you to hear me.
Well,
I don't want you to hear me
stop,
peeing.
Let's just stop the podcast.
Yeah. I'm like, stop. Stop. I have to pee. I'm screaming about shit.
That's hilarious.
Like shit.
I will say, this is off of the spot where the podcast ends when somebody has to go to the bathroom.
I'm like, I have to pee so bad. Wait, hold on to that part.
Yeah. Well, shut it off. And cut.